Our Shaun Boyd checks in with our Democratic and Republican analysts in tonight's reality check.
The marquee speakers for the second night of the DNC will include Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, former President Bill Clinton, and former Second Lady Dr. Jill Biden. So what should we expect from them? Let's go to our analysts, Republican Dick Wadhams, Democrat Mike Dino. Thanks, guys. Hey, I want to start with opening day, though. Dick, what was most significant?
Well, first of all, I thought Michelle Obama had a good night. It was very well delivered. I don't know quite why she taped that speech before the selection of Kamala Harris, because I think it was a little awkward that she wasn't able to talk about the vice presidential nominee. But it was a good speech, and I think it got what they wanted. But the most significant speech of the night, Shaun, to me, was Bernie Sanders. He essentially declared victory for his democratic socialist agenda, and I think he's right. I think he has clearly moved Joe Biden and the Democratic Party to the left. And as Bernie said, positions that were way out of the mainstream of the Democratic Party as recently as 4 years ago are now not only part of the mainstream, they're part of the platform, they're part of the Biden agenda. And really, he has succeeded. He's not the nominee, but he has clearly won the party.
Mike, do you think politicians like Bernie Sanders or those average people who were part of this last night had more impact on the viewers?
I think the average citizens that were shown last night had the most impact. I mean, it showed the diversity of our country and that the Democrats appreciate that diversity. I think Kristen Urquiza, who spoke about her 65-year-old father who died of the virus, and that her own pre-existing condition was trusting in President Donald Trump was his downfall. And I thought that was very powerful. And certainly Michelle Obama, her dire but urgent message came through clearly. And I thought that Bernie Sanders' message was largely inconsequential because his message is most well received when there's a huge crowd cheering him on and reinforcing his message, and that just wasn't there last night. And I think if anything learned, and I think for Dick and I, and even you, Shaun, hey, people are going to want 4 years to have a convention in a city with a lot of parties and balloons and hoopla. Enough of this Zoom stuff, right, Dick?
Although,
I agree.
technically, it was cleaner than I thought it might be. But let's talk about tonight's speakers. Mike, what do you expect from President Clinton and Dr. Biden in particular?
Well, President Clinton, I think he was the last Democrat to beat an incumbent Republican. So one, he kind of manifests that it can be done again. Two, I think he harkens back to an age when America was well respected on the international front and how far we've fallen. And I think in sort of an odd way, people point out the dysfunction of him as a president. But he certainly was extremely functional as a manager of our government, as a leader, and it shows that you can lead a country even though you might be a little quirky as a politician, in contrast to our president who is inept, and as Michelle Obama put it, way over his head. I think Dr. Jill Biden will highlight her education background and how this current administration has failed education. And reinforce for her husband that he's trustworthy and that he's capable of being our next president.
Character witness. Often the wives do that. Dick, AOC, she gets just 1 minute, but she intends to make every second count.
Oh, I'm sure she will. And she's got a very dynamic personality, and that 1 minute will be well used by her. But like I said earlier, Shaun, I mean, AOC has won. I mean, her agenda is the Democratic Party agenda now, as Bernie talked about, and so there's not much for her to talk about that Bernie didn't last night. There's not much for her to want in the Democratic platform or the Democratic agenda. It was interesting to me how there was a disconnect between my good friend John Kasich from Ohio, who kept talking about how you know, Biden's not that crazy lefty that everybody says he is. He's a real moderate, and he's not going to go. And then the next speaker would go up and say, Joe Biden's one of us. He's a real lefty. I mean, there was a disconnect last night in that agenda. But no, AOC will do great tonight, I'm sure. She's a very dynamic speaker. I enjoy listening to her. Don't agree with her on anything, but she's fun to listen to.
Hey, they say it's about diversity, right? Diversity of opinions, diversity of race, gender. Well, I will look forward to your analysis tomorrow, and I'll have a full wrap tonight at 10. See you then.